Hey, if you are a principal right along now, does it seem as if everything is falling down around you? And does it seem that things that worked in the past, they don't seem to be working now? You're absolutely right. They are not working at the way they used to work. One thing that you can say about educators is that you are resilient. And in the midst of teachers leaving the profession and others deciding, oh, this is a good time to retire, you have the opportunity to overcome adversity. That's right. You, as that principal, you have this opportunity, and I know sometimes opportunity comes disguised in things that you have never thought of, have never planned for, and I tell you, so take this as your opportunity. And I want to say kudos to those teachers that are sticking around during the tough times. And I know that many of you wish you could, but circumstances just didn't allow it. But for those of you who are sticking around, for our students during these tough times, for our teachers, for each other, I want to say that you are a positive impact on the universe. So during the times of challenges, let's think about this. You have to change to get the things that you want. For example, instruction. The standards are not changing, but we have to change the way that we are delivering the standards. But that old traditional way is just not going to do it. So, what are you going to do? I can tell you that there is one strategy that is standing the test of time, and that's called the team effect. That's right, TEAM. That is called the team effect. And I know what you're saying. So, how is team going to help me when teachers are out? How is team going to help me when the students are out? How is team going to help me when I can't find a sub? And the most important thing right along now is that we as principals are being blasted in the media for low test scores from last year that are being released now. So let me tell you that a team can be an asset if we know how to use it. That could be the answer to all of the issues that we're having if we do it right. So when you are developing your team, things are always going to work out. When you develop a high performing team, things are always going to work out. And the team doesn't have to consist of brilliant people, it doesn't have to consist of experienced people, it doesn't have to be the most talented people in the team. It's about shaping the culture to meet the needs of the current environment. And we know what the current environment is. We know that we have teachers that are out. We know that we have principals that are out. We know we cannot find subs. We have the same people mostly coming every day trying to do the best they can with what we have. So the key to using a team is going to be three elements that I'm going to use, that I'm going to show you that you need to use in order to combat the daily issues that you are facing every day when it comes to delivering instruction. So I'll be discussing with you three essential elements for your school team to be successful and for your school to not be a failing school. I want to welcome you to another episode of Principals on the Come Up, where we transform schools into hallelujah success stories. So I want you to join me as we have that candid discussion about teams, and we're going to be looking at three things. And the first is your team has to have a common winning determination. The second thing, your team has to be able to work where they're in a safe environment. And the third thing, we are celebrating our members of the team. My name is Barbara Polk, and I'm known as Turnaround Principal. I was assigned to one of the lowest performing campuses in my district, and one of the lowest performing campuses in the state of Texas. I was also assigned by the Texas Education Agency to go into those schools that were low performing and to get those schools turned around. I was also chosen by the Harvard Graduate School of Education to be a part of their Urban School Institute to help get schools turned around. But you know, all of that sounds good. But when I was assigned to that low performing school, it was not a pretty thing. I mean, we had drugs, we had guns, we had low student performance, we had high discipline rates, we had low attendance rates. People just came to school because there was just really no place else to go. People would, with their children, they would come into the community, they would check their students in, and by the time they got back to their home or to the apartment or wherever they lived within their community, they found out that their child was enrolled at my school, one of the lowest performing schools. Then they would come back the next day and withdraw their child and take them somewhere else. We had teachers who would start school on Monday and we never see them after the weekend. We had substitutes who would start at 8:40 in the morning, and lunchtime they would disappear. It was not a pretty sight. But with my team, we were able to overcome that and turn our school around in less than 2 years. And it was not an easy task. But is it something that can be done? Yes, it is. But before we begin, and before I tell you about this teaming and how to get that teaming to impact your campus, I want you, if you're on YouTube, I want you to subscribe to the channel. If you are on Barbara Ray Polk Consulting, I want you to share. And if you have friends or colleagues who need to hear this, all you need to do is go to the top of the principals on the come up page, hit that plus, and you can invite them on to our team so that they can hear the resources that we have, the way out of what we're going through, and so that we can share that with each other. So let's talk about this common winning determination. Now, this is the first thing, a common winning determination. If you have a team, you cannot have a team with people who do not think that we are all going to win. And they cannot think that winning is going to be an easy thing, because it's not. You have to have everybody to believe and be determined that the things that we need to do, that we are going to win. The first thing on this team, you can have your teacher masterminds. And teacher masterminds are just those people, just those groups, just those teams, just those grade levels. Or you can define it any way you like. You may want it to be the principal's team, but you have to have people who are going to believe and determine that you can win. You can do this, and you make this as a part of your PLC. Once you do have your team developed, you're going to start your team out with a pre-meeting with a quick update. And pre-meeting quick update is basically just finding out what is going on today, what went on yesterday, what do we need to do to prepare for tomorrow, based upon the information that we have from last week or from yesterday. And we also, within those teams, we're going to have people to share some successes. I know during these times, all is not bad. All is not worse. There are people in this business, there are principals now who are having some success, even if it's a small success. So within that team, you are going to have people to share their successes. So what does sharing successes mean? What does that do to the team? That shows that all is not lost. That shows that we're doing something right. I'm excited because I was able to do this, and I didn't think it could happen. In high school, the secretary was out, the attendance clerk was out, and we had some senior students running the front office. And I didn't think that was going to work, but it worked. We worked with the teachers of those students, and they're good students. They got the thing taken care of. Something as simple as that. But at the same time, you're also going to have to share your roadblocks. Share the roadblocks that you're facing. Um, Lots of times we make that the be all and end all, the roadblocks you're facing. But share that, because something that maybe seems such a big roadblock to me may be something simple to another member of the team. And then we're going to give support. We're going to support each other. You cannot have a team that has a winning determination without giving each other support. It's going to be all right. We're going to figure our way out of this. And you have to have an atmosphere of understanding that says that we're going to be focused on completing this task. And we're going to complete the task, and it's going to be at high standards. And we're here to support each other. We know that if we create that atmosphere, and that atmosphere is basically, it's called the culture. If we create that atmosphere of we're going to complete this, we're going to get this task done. If the task has something to do with how are we going to combine classes. One teacher is getting classes combined all the time because she comes every day, she doesn't have any issues, and teachers are out, and she says just bring them here. We're gonna have to have that understanding. We're gonna have to be able to figure out a way to alleviate that stress on those one or two teachers. That's something that you as a team will come up with. You'll be coming up with lots of information. And you have to have nothing acceptable but a win. So if your vision, principal, is for your students to be reading 1.5 grade levels above when they came in, or you want your students to be proficient, you are not going to accept anything but that. So within your team, you are not accepting anything but a win. Okay? So now, the second thing within this team is that you have to have a safe environment. Now, we have our teams, and principals, sometimes we sit in the team and we just take over. People are afraid to say anything. They sit around the table at the meeting, and then once the meeting is over, they go back to their part of the building, and they start sharing information with each other. You cannot have a team if that is not a place where the environment is safe. You have to have a team where people feel that they can take the risk to speak out, and there's not going to be any retribution about it. I mean, this is the most critical part of the three elements of the team. You have to be able with the team to disagree without conflict. We all don't see things the same way. We have to be able to disagree, like they say, disagree without being disagreeable. So we have to be able to have and speak in a safe environment. The other thing is that we have to be able to have the freedom to pivot on a project. So, we all decided that this is the way we would handle this issue. And we've been handling it this way for the past couple of weeks. And we're seeing the things that we originally thought was going to be the way to take care of that issue. It's just not working. It's just not working. So why would you continue to use that when you know it's not working? Where you think, well, that's what the team decided, or that's what the principal decided that, she wanted to do it. Well, within your team, within this safe environment, principal, you need to give your team members the freedom to say, this is not working. We thought it was going to work. They have to have the freedom to pivot on a project. And you have to consider diverse opinions. Now, we're not talking about belly aching. We're not talking about somebody who just wants to be out in left field and do things that's totally divergent from what the team has decided that we all need to do. But you have to consider diverse opinions. I've made that mistake. I have decided, in my mind, that what I've heard the teachers say, I'm saying to myself, that's not going to work. I tried that before. That's not going to work. That's not that, I don't know. And she always complaining about this, and she always complaining about that, So, I'll listen. I'll listen to what she has to say, but I'm not doing that. But that could be something that you could try. So at least consider that diverse opinion. Listen to it. Let it settle. Don't just, kick that can down the road because you say it didn't work before and it's not going to work now. Consider it. And the last thing is to have public appreciation for the contributions right within your team. If something has worked out, if something that people have shared and it's been good, then show your appreciation in public, not just one-on-one. You can do the one-on-one. You can send, a card. You can send an email. You can send a gift card. You can send a certificate, or whatever. But there's nothing better than to have some public appreciation for the people who are on your team who are contributing to help turn things around. And the last thing and the most important thing is to celebrate your members. These members of your team are hardworking people. And in this time and in this day and this age, when there are so many things that are encouraging people to leave the profession or not come to work or let somebody else do it, or I'm tired, or this is something like I've never seen before. All I want you to know is this too will pass. And when you really, really think about it, maybe we needed to be shaken up in education. And did we want it to be like this? Did we want it to look like this? No, but it's giving us a chance to take a look at what we have been doing, what has worked and what hasn't worked, and to make that change. So with celebrating your members, who did they impact? Who did your members impact? Consider that, principals, and then recognize your members for the things that they did make a change. How did they make that change? What is it that they said or did that people were afraid to say before that really made the change? And then recognize them, celebrate them for that. And what change did they bring to the team? Now, as the leader, principals, you are going to have to allow people to bring the change to the team. If we're going to continue to do the things the same way we always done, that thing, you're going to always get what you always got. And we can't have that. So let's celebrate the things that your team members did bring, the changes they brought to the team to make the team better. It could be something that they said, something that they did. It could be just their spirit, where they encouraged people, when times got tough, and we came out good at the very end. So celebrate your members. And let's talk about the experience of the turnaround. Let's talk about the experience of the change. Let's talk about the team and what this team did. And when we're talking about teams, we're talking about, it could be your grade level team. It could be your content level team. It could be the principal's team. It could be the assistant principal's team. You name it. You know what your needs are on your campus. And all of this is a part of your culture. You're going to be bringing changes. You're going to have diverse people sitting around that table or sitting behind that computer. If you're going to do a Zoom, if you're in a room where you are safe apart, but you are going to have a team. You cannot do it by yourself. You have to have a team. So what I want you to do as we celebrate MLK Day, The closing thoughts, and the title of this closing thought is Dream Team. Um, in light of life changes, we all look up to the Dream Team. Dream Team is the team that everybody thought was just the best. But a dream team comes about through hard work. A dream team comes about through sacrifice. A dream team does come about through conflict. But the dream team comes about through hard work. And Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "I have a dream." And the dream that he had seemed impossible to most, but it was possible to some. And today within the schools, because it's situations like we've never seen before, the dream doesn't seem possible that our children are going to excel. So in order for the dream to come about, he had to have a team. We're talking about Dr. King. He had to have a team. He couldn't do all of that by himself. You as a principal have a vision as to where you want your school to go. He had a vision. He called it a dream, where he wanted equality and equity for everyone. But he had to have a team to do that. Was there controversy within his team? Of course. Was there controversy within the things he wanted that people just did not seem to think that it was possible? Of course. But in the face of all odds, he had to depend on his team. He couldn't do it all alone. No matter how smart he was, no matter how brilliant he was, he needed a team. And his team had to have a common winning determination. They had to all be on the same accord. They had to have an environment that was safe, where you had diverse opinions, but in an environment where people were not put down, where whatever was said around the table was what we all decided that we're going to do, whether, we have total agreement. And the third thing is that I'm sure he had to recognize and celebrate those people on the team that were just going the extra mile. It reminds me of a story related to my personal relationship. When I was first married many, many years ago, I always thought I was always right, and he was always wrong. I'm the one who had all the sense. He didn't have all the sense. But one day, I was listening to the radio, and I heard a pastor say, "You're not always right." I said, "What?" It hit me like a brick. I cannot always be right. And you mean to say I'm not the sharpest tack in the box? He has some sense too. Well, I tell you that story to say that whatever challenge or circumstances we have, we can't do it by ourselves. We need support. Other ways of thinking to make the relationship a success. Do you have a dream that needs a team to make it a reality? Let's think about it. So as we close, if you have friends or colleagues who need to hear this, you just hit that plus button. If you are a member of Principals on the Come Up, if you're listening on YouTube, just hit that subscribe button. And if you're listening on Barbara Ray Polk Consulting, just hit that share button. And we'll be talking more about teams next week, where we are Principals on the Come Up and we transform schools into hallelujah success stories. We'll see you next time.